Hello and welcome to our latest podcast, which is the latest in our Topic of the Month series. My name is Elisabeth Skura, I'll be your host. So today we'll look at paper and plastic packaging together with materials producer Mondi. And when it comes to packaging materials, the debate of paper versus plastics is often framed as an either-or conversation, and the two materials are pitted against each other. But this is not really the most productive way to address the sustainability challenges the world is facing. So today's podcast is not about declaring a winner in this debate, but rather about exploring what packaging material works best, depending on product needs and consumer goals. So obviously Mondi has ample experience working with both materials and in creating sustainable packaging. So I'm very pleased to have two expert speakers with me today from Mondi. We have Sylvia Hanselova, who is Sales Director for Specialty Craft Paper at Mondi. And we also have Piotr Bacikowski, who is Sales Director for Consumer Flexibles at Mondi. So, thank you both for being on the podcast today. I'm really looking forward to an interesting conversation.
Glad to be here. Thank you for the opportunity, Elizabeth.
Hi, Elizabeth. It's my great pleasure to be here and talk about paper and plastics.
Yes, thank you both. To get us started, I'd like to begin with the big picture. And I was wondering what's driving the need to rethink what materials we use for packaging today.
Elizabeth, as you rightly know, packaging has ancient origins. It is thousands of years old. It evolved quite dramatically over the time. Initially, you had leaves, animal skins, and so on. And then Industrial Revolution came. And we had lots of plastic packaging developed, which really helped a lot to avoid food waste and to protect the goods. We got to a point when we have to rethink how we are using all the packaging that is around, either for food stuff or anything that you want to protect. So the reasons to rethink it is multiple-fold. It's definitely environmental. There are a lot of new regulations that are coming up. It is also economic, and definitely to a big extent, it's consumer-led too. So when we look into the environmental part, the entire life cycle of a certain packaging is very important, from the raw material extraction until it is actually disposed, and what it adds in terms of greenhouse emissions. Now, when I look into Mondi, our purpose is to make packaging and paper that is sustainable by design. You might ask yourself, what does it actually mean? So at Mondi, we have developed a 10-year plan. It is called Mondi Action Plan 2030, where we create circular-driven solutions, and they are created by empowered people. So we can take action on climate to have the most positive impact on the climate. And if we would dig further into it, what does it mean, circular-driven solutions? So we are looking into our production and our products together with our customers, and we would see how we are extracting our raw materials, how we are using them, how we are converting them into packaging, as well as seeing once the goods are used, what would be the end of the life of these products. And we need to ensure that these products are then disposed. So either they are reusable, recyclable, or compostable. We have given ourselves quite strong targets, but all of them are science-based. I also wanted to mention that, in my case, from the wood, from the paper side, we need to make sure that the wood that we are using to create paper is environmentally sourced. So most of our wood is domestically sourced, 90% of them. And actually, we are getting the wood from around the paper mills. And then, obviously, when we are developing products, there are quite some regulations that are also steering which direction packaging should be evolving. And here I would like to mention one of the drivers is packaging and packaging waste regulations, where obviously Mondi has a very strong part to play into. And when we look at on the paper side, paper has been used and has been around for a long time. You would never really consider that we might have any challenges in terms of regulations, but still, it is actually bringing us opportunities to develop new products. And this makes me also wonder, Piotr, from your side, how do you see it when it comes to packaging and packaging waste regulations? I think there you also have some challenges or maybe even opportunities.
Yes, thank you, Sylvia. Definitely, we have multiple opportunities, and I mean, rethinking of existing packaging, as it was also mentioned, it's driven by multiple factors. Just to come back to it, it's a combination of growing sustainability trend and, of course, the regulatory and PPWR specifically. But I would like to say a little bit more about also consumer awareness, which is growing and resulting also in all these regulations, which is also driving retailers and brand owners to respond with ambitious sustainability commitments, which is obviously further cascading down through the value chain, also to the converting industry. And the response of Mondi would be the MAP 2030. There is also one more driver where I think we focus a lot at Mondi on, and that's why I want to mention that it's rethinking packaging as a cost effectiveness as well factor. So for sustainable solutions. As Sylvia mentioned, there has been a clear evolution of the packaging, and also especially during the sustainability trend became really vocal. After pandemic, the whole industry focused on developing sustainable alternatives to conventional materials. And that was the phase one, I would say. This phase is basically over. So when I look at our portfolio today at Mondi, I would say we have sustainable alternative for nearly all our products, for nearly 100% of our portfolio. And now someone could ask why the progress to change to circular solutions is not up to initially assumed speed. And one of the answers is, of course, because the great challenge is to make the sustainable solution affordable and scalable for the brands and for the retailers. And it's not obviously only about the cost of the material itself, of the packaging, but it's equally important factor to take into account like ownership of, the total cost of ownership. And in fact, majority of typical mono material come with the cost premium, with additionally narrower operating window, creating, of course, higher scrap and rising cost. And that is significantly impacting efficiency, not only for converters like Mondi, but also for the brand owners during the filling process. And these limitations are not only technical, they have a direct impact on the P&Ls. So just to give you an example, imagine the pet food brand owner spending, let's say, 100 million euro for packaging, confronted with the premium of 20 or 30% for the material, which is sustainable for the pet food bag. It's extremely difficult to justify over a long term. So imagine at the same time, the brand owner has to replace part of the filling lines to run sustainable material. And that, of course, is at the cost of the efficiency. So on top, we have additional substantial CapEx commitment necessary. So this is not the way forward. That's why our primary focus in Mondi is on rethinking specifications. So we aim to develop solutions that are not only sustainable, but also cost effective and operationally compatible. One of the example could be the recycle reinforced PE, for example, for this pet food bag, where we are already at the third generation of the sustainable solution, replacing MDO with own PE substrate just to make it more efficient on cost, and having already with selected partners the roadmap to come to the single digit cost upcharge. And when I think about it, I think in the whole process, it's essential to have this collaboration. So as we collaborate together with Sylvia, with the colleagues in paper, to find the optimal solutions, it's also important to work closely with, of course, our partners, with customers, with the upstream suppliers, but also with the OEMs, because only then we can, let's say, make this process efficient and cost affordable. So thank you, Elizabeth, for mentioning this, that the paper and plastic is not in the position of competitors. This is not how we see it in Mondi. We see that as, let's say, fit for purpose, and we treat these materials equally depending on the application. So the primary focus is of course, it's not always easy or possible to replace a polymer with paper, but we work intensively to find the ways for it and to make it cost affordable.
It's definitely a good idea to keep a very balanced approach to the whole process. I wanted to ask you, Sylvia, a bit more about paper and paper solutions. What are some use cases where paper really shines, particularly where it now performs better than ever?
I would say not every paper is created equal. So it really depends which kind of a paper we are talking about. At Mondi, as Piotr also mentioned, we are rethinking how we are dealing with our customers. So very often what happens is a customer would come to us, Mondi, I have a certain challenge. I would need to find a solution, maybe due to regulatory drivers in the coming years. So how could we develop a new packaging? And here I would like to take, for example, Hug and Hold. This was a project where we have seen that stretch films are used around plastic bottles. And together with an OEM, Kronos, we have been working very hard to find a solution on how we could replace this plastic packaging, as it is going to be banned, with a paper-based solution. Now, in this case, we have been selecting certain kind of papers until we have realized that there needs to be a certain property that needs to be met. So therefore, I said not every paper is created equal. You really need to understand what your requirements are from the application to be able to match it with the right paper to be used. So in this case, then at the end, together with the customer, with the OEM, and with the colleagues internally, we came up with the solution of Hugit, where you use a banderole that is holding together several PET bottles, allowing easy transportation, making sure that they are standing very solid on the pallet and that you can carry them safely home. Another example would be EcoVantage. In this case, what we were thinking was you have raw materials, which are fresh fibers, but at a certain point of time, paper is being recycled. What would be the best possible way to reuse these fibers and create a new product with an added value? And that was the time when we came with EcoVantage, which is a recycled grade and still has the strength of a fresh fiber-based paper. You can use it for FFS, you can use it for shopper bags. It does have a quite versatile possibilities. And we are able to also to close a loop, which I found was really important, that we have a retailer involved, a collecting company involved, and then we are able to recollect and reuse paper, a very valuable raw material for the future. Something in addition, I would say sometimes on paper making, I have a plastic background. So for me, paper has been a completely new field a few years ago. And the way I look at it today is paper making is actually where nature meets technology. So it's kind of an art form shaped by innovation, where we can really look into nature's resources and using high-tech machinery to create a completely new product with tailor-made properties. Another example would be where I was really excited about stretch wrap, Advantage stretch wrap. This is a product that is being used for pallet wrapping. I mean, 5 years ago, would you ever thought about that on a pallet, you would not see a shrink film being stretched, a stretch film shrinked all over, but it would be a paper. We would be looking into, there are a lot of limitations. Paper is not stretchable enough. It wouldn't be stable. But actually what we have seen is that by using paper on a pallet wrapping, we are able to not only make the pallets more stable during transportation, but we are creating a new space for marketing, which we did not really even think about before. And in addition to all that, from sustainability perspective, we are able to reduce CO2 emissions by 62% versus a virgin stretch film. So there are all these new applications that are coming up now, which we never even thought about before. So I think rethinking where paper has been used traditionally and looking into new applications that kind of going to be the future of paper. In addition to all this, I would say paper is really a wonderful material, but sometimes you can even elevate the performance of paper when you would need, for example, barriers, which within Mondi we are also able to do. So you can have the combination of paper with functional plastics on top of it and achieve various levels of barrier. Also, if you were a company who was doing plastic packaging before, now you are able to use paper with the coating on it and use the same machinery that you were using before. So you don't really have to extra invest into gluing or you change your packaging strategy, while allowing you to improve on your sustainability targets. So I find it really cool that this combination of paper and plastic is still developed in such a way that it can be recyclable in a standard recycling streams, so we do not have to worry about the end of life. Piotr, I believe that we have been working together also on some other functional barrier papers, right? Where you even elevated the barrier to a higher level.
Yes. Thank you, Sylvia, for mentioning this. I absolutely agree with you. I'm representing, my background is more in plastic than in paper, but it's so comfortable for us, to in consumer flexibles to be able to offer both and having this expertise in the company and being integrated and having this unique position, because paper itself, as you mentioned, went through a remarkable transformation in the recent years. Yeah. And it's no longer just a sustainable alternative. We find it as a high performing packaging material where we can combine our expertise on paper and also on polymer and implications related to merging these two. So, of course, it's not everywhere possible. There are applications where we cannot play with this, but there are many opportunities where we can do. And I have two examples which I would like to mention. So first one would be the Eco Wicked bag, how we call it. So dedicated traditionally for hygiene products like diapers or femcare, which were packed in plastic Wicked bag, where we took a challenge to develop paper alternative, which would be performing on existing lines due to, of course, the cost efficiency for our partners, and offering sufficient sealing and also excellent printability, of course. And it has been made in the collaboration with Sylvia, with colleagues from Paper Experts, based on our functional barrier paper 95.5, which is recyclable and compliant with the EU regulations. And we are rolling out this product successfully. And it's amazing. It's amazing how that we can replace the polymer-based solutions with the paper one. Another example would be the Mondi Ultimate barrier paper. So mentioned before also that we are at the stage where we are actually adding ultimate barrier to the material that has no barrier, because paper is not providing a barrier. And I would call it, from that perspective, a game changer. So we deliver the barrier against moisture and oxygen. We have invested in a new technology recently, which is already available. And we see applications which would suit this solution, like dried fruits, bouillon cubes, even coffee sticks, where we are already seeing an interest and where the high barrier is demanding. So I would say, just to give you a final thought on that the amazing thing is that paper really shines today, not only on selected commodity products, like it was a little bit in the past, but also where we see high demand, high performance applications. So our approach would be to use this internal expertise and apply innovation to make paper competitive, sustainable, but also scalable.
Seems like there's been lots of innovations in paper recently that really pushed the material forward. I wanted to now focus on plastics and ask you, Piotr, where would you say are plastics still the right choice in the area of packaging?
I would say, let's start with the simple truth. Not all plastics are created equal, and not all packaging challenges can be solved with paper. And I think the evident example where plastic cannot be replaced by a paper is a retort packaging. So the application would be wet retort pet food or ready meals, packed usually in the aluminum-based products, because the products have to withstand extreme conditions and also represent a shelf life, in case of pet food, up to 2 years on the shelf without jeopardizing the ingredients and the quality of the pet food. So these packagings have to, in the retort process, they have to withstand an extreme high temperatures, the pressure, the moisture during the sterilization process. You can think of it as cooking the product inside the pack, to make it a simple picture. And in such environment, the paper simply cannot survive. That's why we have this solution with polymer. Thinking about our products, I go to recycle retort pouch from Mondi, which has been one of the greatest challenges for us over the last years, to come to the sustainable solution for the structure, which was historically based on and still is, on polyester, aluminum, polypropylene, as on non-recyclable. We have successfully developed a polypropylene-based monomaterial packaging that replaces this alu-based non-recyclable laminates, and it withstands, of course, the required temperatures and also all the sterilization conditions, delivering already at this stage 12 months of shelf life. And this is an example where we have this gap in a shelf life. So someone could say, okay, so traditional one is offering 2 years, the sustainable 1 year. That is exactly the space for further innovation, for adaptations. But I think knowing the background of this development, this 12 months is already a great achievement. And yeah, this is for me the example where polymer-based solution, being functional, efficient, and designed for circularity, cannot be replaced by paper.
I fully agree, Piotr. There are going to be always some applications where paper will have its limitations. And as you mentioned, the retort would be one of them. So I do believe that one of our strengths within Mondi is really that we are integrated. We know our pulp, the paper. We are able to have a good coatability on the paper itself. So we can really create good combinations of a specific paper with a particular coating on it, but even a step forward when a customer really needs a flexible packaging purely made of plastics, we can offer that solution as well. So a close collaboration between all the different segments and the knowledge we have, not only from the paper production side, but the knowledge of the colleagues from conversion side is really helping us a lot to understand what the needs are for a certain packaging. And also we can much better discuss then with our customers on what they do need and where the packaging at the end ends up. So what their requirements are for the end of the life. Also, they do have some sustainability goals themselves. So that is something that we definitely take into consideration, and we can develop the plan together with them on where they want to be in terms of sustainability and support them on that road.
So that leads me to the next question, which is how Mondi helps consumers to navigate this choice between paper and plastics, which might be sometimes quite complex. So what does that journey look like when a customer isn't sure which way to go, paper or plastics?
What it would mean is that the customer practically would come to us and with certain idea that they have, certain target they need to meet in terms of sustainability, or they would tell us, look, I am currently having this kind of packaging. I need to improve on my sustainability target. So what we would do then is we would put a multidisciplinary team together and evaluate the current situation where they want to be, and then discuss all different kind of options. So you don't have to imagine it that we would be working in silos. So if they reach out to me, I would never reach out to our plastic colleagues. We would always consider all the options there. So luckily, we do have all different kind of support teams as well. For example, I would like to mention the recycling lab, which we do have available also for our customers. These are internal resources which I'm really proud of, because what we can do there is we can take the packaging that the customer currently have, we can check the recyclability of level of that, and then we can elevate that by changing it to a new packaging or to a modified packaging, and to show how the recyclability, for example, improved. Or sometimes you would consider, okay, I have a paper packaging with a certain coating on it. I would like to understand, is this still recyclable? So these are all things we could definitely do in our recycling lab. But outside of that, we can perform life cycle analysis as well. So that would be something that we can offer to our customers. So once we went through the whole process of discussing what should be the product, then we can create a prototype of it. And this prototype we can then evaluate not only in the labs, but also we can do calculations. What would it mean in terms of end of life CO2 emissions, and can offer then a life cycle analysis of these products.
Yeah. Maybe I will add to that. Thank you, Sylvia. I think it's not just a headline about enjoying this integrated value of Mondi, because we know the competitive landscape and we are positioned quite uniquely with this integration down to paper, and understanding of these both materials down to molecular level is helping us a lot. So we can use paper while we see sustainable and recyclable solution, and can also integrating polymers with our coating division to deliver the required functionality or barrier. I would say that also what resonates a lot, that one size is not fitting all approach in flexible packaging, and this consulting is extremely essential. Also mentioned before how we do it internally, how we do it with our partners externally. We guide our customers through this consultative journey evaluating shelf life barrier needs, recyclability, also regional recycling infrastructure, engaging our own equipment in R&D listed before by Sylvia. So the truth is that the best packaging is the one which fits the product and serves the brand.
So from what you've said before, I'm quite curious to hear if you have any real world examples. Can you share an example where your particular material, paper or plastics, was chosen for a particular application?
Maybe I will start with this. I already mentioned the reinforced pet food bag and also the Eco Wicket bag and Redo pouch. I think what is important is that these are not just the materials. They are solutions designed for recycling, designed for performance. And I would like to also particularly mention here the aspect of the PCR, because there is a lot of sentiment, of course, for specific products, for specific paper or plastic applications in general. However, it is extremely important for us in Mondi to integrate our packaging with the PCR, with the post-consumer recycled content, because it is closing the loop. It gives plastic waste a second life. By collecting, sorting, and reprocessing used plastic, we can feed it back into the packaging stream, reducing the need for virgin material and cutting the carbon emissions. So it's a tangible way to support the primary concern of ours, so the circular economy, to reduce dependency also on fossil-based resources. And the industry is actively working to incorporate PCR into the monomaterial structures, of course, without compromising food safety or barrier performance or visual appeal. And this is especially relevant for non-food applications, where everyone who has experience with mechanical PCR knows how difficult it is to find the right and consistent quality, and overcome challenges related to it, for instance, with the odor. It took us few years to really specify proper upstream partners for that material. And we are now there. We have the solutions already on the markets with the specific content of PCR. So ahead of the regulatory push, and we are very proud of that, to support the circular economy with this. So at the same time, we are obviously exploring the use of chemical PCR, helping food or pet food brands to meet their recycled content targets. And here I want to mention also the for example, coffee, where we have a product with the demand, of course, high demand for protection against oxygen, light, and moisture. We know how sensitive material product it is. And this is the space where this convenience and sustainability must go hand in hand. So our collaboration with, for example, Paulik Group, I want to mention this because that's in the public domain. So where we developed together a fully recyclable monomaterial coffee bag, which maintains aroma freshness without compromising on quality and shelf appeal. These are examples which are, I think, important, and we always encourage our customers to focus as much as possible on the PCR on the early stage, even before it will be required by PPWR, to secure the upstream, to secure the demand, and to dedicate enough time for development, because development takes time.
And I would like to build on what Piotr was talking about coffee. So once they took care of the primary packaging and the whole aroma and the coffee itself, the grains are protected, what you can do is you can carry it around in various ways. How in the past it was done is you would have a tray with a shrink film around it. And I can clearly still remember getting some of the material, bringing it home, and then you are stuck with a paper tray and a plastic packaging around, where the only function of the plastic in this case would be that it holds together all the packaging, the primary packaging. So Therefore, we have developed a new product that is called tray wrap, where you are ending up with a fully paper-based solution. And the tray wrap is able to hold the coffee boxes together on the tray once you arrive home or in the shop. When they open up the trays, they can just put the tray itself, which is paper-based, and the tray wrap around, which is also a high-quality paper-based, into the standard recycling stream. And we would be able then to collect that and then put it back into a recycled content products. So it fully is able to replace plastic shrink wrapping. It is 100% responsibly sourced fresh fiber-based material. And what is really cool that you can actually use it as a big surface area for marketing as well. So the brand awareness can be reinforced by this.
Yeah, maybe I would add one more aspect to this also. I mean, in general, which is covering a little bit everything what we discussed today, including rethinking the packaging. It's also one of the challenges, of course, the speed of developing the recycling infrastructure, which is not equal across Europe. We mentioned today about all the products which are recyclable, given, of course, the available recycling stream. And we all know that the pouch that is fully recyclable in Germany can still end up in a landfill in the parts of Eastern Europe. So the regulations vary and the level of investment in recycling infrastructure also vary. And that great challenge for plastic is laying in the collection and sorting areas, of course. So plastic is lagging behind, not because it's not recycled, or intended for recycling, but because the systems are still not largely placed specifically here in Europe. And it is obviously different to paper, or the beauty of paper is that we can enjoy approximately 80% of recycling rate in Europe, which makes this product fantastic for the brands who want to commit to that. So to summarize, in my opinion, that the packaging industry is basically ready. We have done the work, the solutions are available, aligned with the CFLEX guidelines, for example, and the monomaterial laminates, paper-based barriers, hybrid solutions are basically available, and they run on the customer lines. Hopefully, the investments in the collection, sorting, and education, I think, which is also essential, will continue, as otherwise even the best designed pouch will not reach its second life, of course. So to close, maybe when we talk about navigating through the paper and plastic and the solutions, it is essential to talk to the customer. When we get this question, paper or plastic, we usually say with Sylvia, let's talk about your product, your market, your goals, your pain points, and then let's build the right solution together.
I also like the fact that you focus on collaboration, because that's obviously a very key point to achieve the best possible solution. I wanted to wrap up our conversation today by asking you, if our listeners walk away with just one idea or takeaway from this podcast today, what should it be?
From my side, I think I would say when we are in contact with our customers, we would always start with the question, what does your product need and how can we make that sustainable? And then just leave it with us. We will come up with the best possible solution for your application.
That's well stated, Sylvia. Thanks. I would say that I would add to this that leading the way in a sustainable, flexible packaging is not just about being sustainable. It's about being compliant, being smart, scalable, and truly fit for purpose. So the future of packaging lies in the balanced approach where we have to merge innovation, collaboration, and a deep understanding of materials, and this will drive the industry forward.
I really find that at Mondi, what is really great, that we do not really choose sides. So it's not like plastics and paper or combination. We really are choosing solutions.
So, I think that's a great way to wrap up this podcast today. What came out clearly from that conversation is how important it is to remember that performance, recyclability, and product needs all matter, and that finding the right packaging material for a particular application is key to reaching sustainability goals rather than getting fixated on the specific material. Thank you very much for sharing your insights, Silvia and Piotr.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Just a quick note before I go away. If you'd like to join the conversation on packaging sustainability, please make sure to join us at Packaging Europe's Sustainable Packaging Summit, which takes place from November 10th to November 12th in Utrecht in the Netherlands this year. You'll obviously also get the chance to connect with Mondi there, as the company will be both exhibiting and speaking at the event. You can find out more about the summit at www.packagingsummit.earth. And if you'd like to learn more about Mondi, visit their website at mondigroup.com.